Hello, and welcome again to another live lesson. Today we will be looking at idioms using the number 2 in them. So, as I said to you in the last lesson, basically I'm going live for a few reasons so that I can get more content to you at a faster pace. This doesn't mean that normal, regular videos are going to stop, but it does allow me the opportunity so that I can find out what it is that you want to learn. Therefore, your comments are very important here. Let me know what kind of lessons it is that you want. I'm choosing idioms at the moment because it's easier, but if there's something that is more important to you, please let me know by all means. And of course, some of these lessons may get turned into actual videos. Just because I'm teaching them here doesn't mean that I can't take some of this information and put it into a better video with more visual and interesting examples. Anyway, idioms using the number 2. This is today's lesson. So what are we going to be learning today? We are going to be learning the idioms to be in two minds, in two shakes, or in two shakes of a lamb's tail, and kill two birds with one stone. We will also be looking at know two ways about it, put two and two together, two bites of the cherry, two can play at that game, two heads are better than one, and the last ones are two wrongs don't make a right, and finally, two's company, three's a crowd. So basically what I'll be doing is I'll be giving you a definition for each of these idioms, as well as giving you a couple of examples. I'll show one example on the screen and I'll just say another example out loud. So to begin with, let's have a look at to be in two minds about something. Now, the last part's in brackets because very often people just say be in two minds. The full phrase is obviously be in two minds about, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But very often it gets shortened to just to be in two minds. But what does that mean? Basically, if you're in two minds about something, it means that you cannot decide. There might be two different important things that you need to think about. Some things that mean that you can't make a decision immediately. One thing might seem very good as well as another thing, or vice versa. Something might be bad and another thing might be bad, and trying to make the decision between which is the best option can sometimes be very difficult. For example, I'm in two minds about taking that job. On one hand, it's very good money, but on the other hand, it's in a different city. So here we have a very strong good option, good money. Yeah, of course, that's very, very tempting. But being in a different city means that the person either has to travel a long way every day or they may have to move. So deciding whether or not to take that job is not an easy decision. Does the person want the money, or does the person want to stay within the city that they're in? That person is in two minds about something. That person cannot decide whether to take the job or not. Another example might be, I'm in two minds about going to the party. I like having fun, but I'm worried about talking to Ted. So here, the person does want to go to the party, but they're worried about that one person at the party who might be there that will bring the fun level down. I think we all know that person, that very boring person. And of course, we always get stuck talking to them. Everyone else is having fun, but you're having a boring conversation with someone. And sometimes that conversation can be so boring, that person can be so boring that you just don't want to go to the party, even though you know it's more than likely going to be a fun time. All right, let's have a look at another idiom, in two shakes. And again, in two shakes is the short version of the idiom. In two shakes of a lamb's tail is the full version of the idiom. Again, people regularly just say in two shakes, but sometimes people use the full idiom. Why a lamb's tail? I have no idea. Idioms, English idioms, are very strange. They don't always make sense when you first hear them or when you first read them. But that's why I'm here to explain them to you. So what does in two shakes mean? Basically, it means very quickly and without difficulty. It means that doing something is not going to take you long, and yeah, it's going to be something very, very easy. It's not going to bother you much at all. An example would be, you can find almost anything on the internet in just two shakes of a lamb's tail. In the past, finding information could be very difficult. You'd have to ask an expert, or you would have to look in an encyclopedia, or you would have to get a teacher to explain something to you. But these days, if you want information, you can just jump on your phone, blah, 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 blah. Boom, you have the information immediately. It doesn't take long. It's very easy. Another example might be, I'll be down in just two shakes. Here, it means that, yeah, you're waiting for someone, you call them up, hey, where are you? Oh, sorry, I just finished getting ready. I'll be down in just two shakes. I'll be out almost immediately. You don't have to wait very long. Don't worry, I'll be there very, very soon. Let's move on to another idiom. Now, kill two birds with one stone. It's not the nicest phrase. I accept that. These days, there are many vegetarians, many vegans, many people are worried about animal cruelty. Just because we say we're going to kill two birds doesn't mean we are actually going to kill two birds. Don't worry. The meaning of this phrase is to achieve two different aims or two different goals with only one effort or one action. So by doing one thing, you are actually achieving two different things at pretty much the same time. An example of this would be, I like to listen to English lessons whilst I do exercise. That way, I can kill two birds with one stone. So yeah, here you're doing two things at exactly the same time. Exercising, that could be jogging, that could be weightlifting in the gym. But when you see many people exercising, very often they have earphones and they're listening to something. It could be music, or these days podcasts are very, very popular. And I know lots of people who like to learn as they're doing exercise. They like to kill two birds at the same time with one stone. These days, people are very, very busy, and trying to fit everything into their schedule can be difficult. So if you can do two things at the same time, that just makes life much easier and much better. Let's give you another example. I went to Paris on a business trip, but whilst I was there, I could kill two birds with one stone by visiting some friends that I haven't seen for years. So here the person has to go to Paris because of their job, but they obviously have friends who live in Paris. So why not? Why not catch up with your friends, even though you're in Paris to do some work? Let's move on then. Let's have a look at another idiom. No two ways about it. So here, this idiom means that there is no alternative. There is no other way to think or act. Something is definitely true. Earlier, we looked at the phrase to be in two minds, which shows that there's two different possibilities. Here, there is only one possibility, not even a possibility, just one fact, just one truth. There is only one decision to be made. There is only one thing that can be done. For example, if the government is telling you to stay at home for 3 weeks, then you have to. There's no two ways about it. So yeah, these days, because of the coronavirus, many people in countries all over the world are having to stay at home for long periods of time. Nobody wants to stay at home, but they have to. The reason being is for public safety. Now, I'm sure we've all seen reports, especially in America, of younger people ignoring this and going out to the beach and having fun and just being in very crowded areas. This is not good. This is not the way that people should act at this time when public safety is a very important thing. There's nothing that you should be doing other than staying at home. There's no two ways about it. Just because you might not get sick doesn't mean that, you might catch the virus and pass that virus on to other people who could get sick. So there's no two ways about it. If the government tells you to stay at home, you must stay at home. Let's have a look at another example. You got an F because you never came to class and you never did any homework. There's no two ways about it. That's exactly what you deserve. So as a teacher, I've been in this situation many times where I've had to give a student an F for various reasons. And sometimes that student complains. And I have to explain to them, look, you didn't come to class. You didn't do homework. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You didn't do all the things that were required to get a good grade. I have to give you an F because there's no two ways about it. Giving you an F is the only option that I have. When I say you, I don't mean you. I mean the students that I was talking to in the past. All right, let's move on. Put two and two together. Now, that sounds easy. 2 and 2 equals 4, right? Well, yeah, it does. That's basically what this means. When we put 2 and 2 together, we are making a correct guess. We are looking at the information that we have, or the facts that we have, and we are putting that information together to come to the correct answer. For example, I saw Jane leaving Tim's house and I put 2 and 2 together. So Jane leaving Tim's house, why might that be? They must be dating. They must be boyfriend and girlfriend. Yeah, so I'm taking 2 pieces of information, putting it together, and coming up with an answer that, in this case, is correct. Another example would be David got his first A+, which seemed very strange. I put 2 and 2 together when I noticed that David's homework was written in Sarah's handwriting. So David, in this example, not a good student, maybe getting C's, maybe getting lower than that, not a very good student, but suddenly David gets a very, very good grade. Now, why would that be? Is he suddenly studying hard? Possibly, but his writing looks a bit strange here. Oh, it looks like someone else's handwriting. That must mean that someone else wrote David's homework instead of David, but put David's name on top. In other words, David cheated in order to get an A+. So I'm taking information, putting it together, and coming up with the correct answer, putting 2 and 2 together. Now, there's an alternate phrase here. If I say I put 2 and 2 together but came up with 5, it means I've taken that information but come up with the wrong answer. So I saw Jane leaving Tim's house and I put 2 and 2 together but came up with 5 means that they're not boyfriend and girlfriend. Maybe Tim was just visiting Jane because Jane left something on the bus and Tim wanted to return it to Jane. So putting 2 and 2 together means to come up with a correct answer. Putting 2 and 2 together to come up with 5 means coming up with an incorrect answer. Let's move on. Oops. 2 bites of the cherry. Basically, what this means is that you get 2 chances or 2 attempts at doing something. Maybe the first time that you do something isn't very good or unsuccessful, but you get a second chance in order to be able to do much, much better. And that's what that means. An example is, teaching live lessons is not easy. You do not get 2 bites at the cherry if you make a big mistake. Usually, when I make videos, I record them first and I edit. If I notice that something is wrong, an explanation is wrong, then I have the chance to re-record that and put the correct information in place of the bad information. When I record something, I get 2 bites at the cherry to make sure that all the information is correct. However, when I'm giving a live lesson, if I give you bad information, I might not notice until much later. In that case, I do not get 2 bites at the cherry. I get 1 chance, and I have to make sure that all of that information is correct. Let's have a look at another example. Because so many of her students failed the test, the teacher decided to give them another bite of the cherry by giving them a second test. So in other words, the teacher realizes that the first test might have been a bit too hard for her students, so she wants to help them out by giving them a second test, possibly an easier test, or at least giving the students more opportunity to study in order to do better at the second test. The students get another bite at the cherry. Very often, instead of saying another bite at the cherry, you might hear the phrase, a second bite of the cherry. Exactly the same meaning. It again means that you get a second chance, a second attempt in order to do something. Let's move on. Two can play at that game. So here we're not talking about tennis, or we're not talking about Monopoly or a video game. What this phrase means, and it's not a very nice phrase, is that, yeah, it's a threat. Okay, so you can also treat someone in the same offensive way or the same bad way they have treated you. So if someone has done something bad to you, you might want to take revenge and do something bad to them. In other words, two people are playing at the same game. Let's give you an example. When I learned that my friend cheated in a game of poker, I thought, two can play at that game. So yeah, in this example, one person has cheated and the other person wants to take revenge by also cheating. One person does a bad thing, so the second person wants to do an equally bad thing. Another example would be when I found out that my girlfriend was dating another guy, I decided that two people can play at that game. In this case, the boyfriend also wants to date another person. They are doing the same equally bad thing that their girlfriend has done. Now, again, this is not a good thing. And we'll look at a phrase that addresses, two people doing bad things to each other later on in this lesson. But for right now, two can play at that game means that one person does something bad and another person wants to take revenge, do something equally bad to that first person. Okay, let's have a look at another one. Two heads are better than one. So does this mean growing a second head? No, nobody wants to walk around with two different heads. But what it does mean is that it's better to solve problems with another person rather than alone. Sometimes things can be difficult, and trying to do something by yourself is not very easy. So sometimes you may want somebody else to come and help you. In that case, we say two heads are better than one. And an example of this is, we need to work together to figure this out because two heads are better than one. So yeah, two people are coming together to solve a problem in order to find a better answer than one person by themselves might be able to come up with. Another example is, can you help me think of ideas for my essay? I can't think of any by myself, and yeah, two heads are better than one. So yeah, one person is struggling to come up with ideas, so they're asking someone else for their help in order to come up with some good ideas for that first person to write a really good essay. All right, let's move on. Two wrongs don't make a right. So this phrase basically has the opposite meaning of two can play at that game. Here, this phrase means you cannot justify your wrong action by saying that someone else did the same to you. So because somebody did something bad to you, it doesn't mean that it's a good thing to do something bad to them. Two wrongs don't make a right means that if someone did something bad, the other person should not do something equally bad to that first person. For example, you can't say bad things about John just because he was rude to you. Two wrongs don't make a right. So yeah, John was rude. But by saying bad things about John is equally bad and should not be done. In other words, don't be bad just because someone was bad to you. Another example, I know that Alan cheated on you in that poker game. But stealing from Alan? Come on, two wrongs don't make a right. So yeah, Alan was in the wrong. Alan did something bad by cheating. But yeah, taking money from Alan is also bad, but you should not do it. Let's have a look at the next idiom. Two's company, three's a crowd. So again, very often we just say two's company, but we can also say the full phrase, three's a crowd. Basically, and I should stop saying basically so much, it's a terrible, terrible habit of mine, but that phrase means that, yeah, it's used to show that two people, especially lovers, should be left alone together. In this case, sometimes two people just want to have a conversation or spend time with each other, and having a third person makes the whole situation feel very awkward and uncomfortable. As an example, I will leave you lovers alone. Two's company, three's a crowd, and I don't want to disturb you. So here, yeah, three people are together, but the third person can see that the boyfriend and girlfriend clearly want to be by themselves, and the third person realizes that they are disturbing them and gracefully is allowing the two lovers to be alone together, to spend good times with each other. Another example is Sally and Felix were clearly uncomfortable with Ted being around, but Ted couldn't see that two's company and three's a crowd. So yeah, here this is an example of where a situation is uncomfortable because there are three people, even though two of them do not want that third person to be there. And Ted, being Ted, doesn't realize that he is making the situation uncomfortable. So, two's company, three's a crowd. Okay, so that's all of the idioms for today. Let's have a quick review of the idioms. So I'm going to show you each of the idioms, and I want to see if you can remember what they mean. So we looked first at to be in two minds. Can you remember what that means? It means to be undecided, to have two options and you cannot decide between the two options. Or you have one option but two possibilities and you cannot decide which possibility is the best. In two shakes, or in two shakes of a lamb's tail. Can you remember what that means? In two shakes means, yeah, to be able to do something very quickly and without difficulty. So yeah, doing something is not going to take you long and it's not going to cause you much bother. Kill two birds with one stone. Does it mean to actually kill two birds? I don't remember. Oh, yes, I do. I do remember. It means, yeah, to achieve two different aims or two different things with only one effort or action. So, yeah, doing two things at the same time, basically. No two ways about it. What does this mean? No two ways about it has the meaning of, yeah, there is no alternative. There is no other way to think or act. Something is definitely true. So basically, something happens because that is the only possibility that can happen. Put two and two together. What is the meaning of this? Put two and two together means to make a correct guess, to use the information or facts that you have and you're putting them together to come up with the correct answer. Unlike putting two and two together to make five, which means coming up with the wrong answer. Two bites of the cherry. What is the meaning of this idiom? Two bites of the cherry means, yeah, you get two chances, two attempts to do something. So if you're unsuccessful the first time, yeah, you are given a second chance in order to be able to do that thing correctly. Two can play at that game. So this idiom has the meaning of, yeah, you're saying something as a threat. You can treat someone in the same bad way or offensive way that they have treated you. So someone's done something bad to you and you want to take revenge by doing something equally bad. Not good advice, but it is a common English idiom. Two heads are better than one. So this has the meaning that it is better to solve problems with another person rather than alone. So yeah, by talking to someone, getting someone's help, you can probably come up with much better answers than if you were trying to solve a problem by yourself. Two wrongs don't make a right. So here, this means that you cannot justify your own wrong action by saying that someone else did the same to you. So just because someone did something bad to you, you should not do something bad to them. It's just not good. It's not a good idea to take revenge on someone. Two's company, three's a crowd. So this has the meaning that, yeah, it shows that two people, especially lovers, should be left alone together. Not for every situation, but sometimes having a third person can make the situation awkward. Of course, if the two lovers want other people to be around, that's perfectly fine. But if they are sharing a private moment together, maybe it's better to leave them alone. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the lesson, and I want you to try and write your own sentences with these idioms. If you feel that they're good, then put those sentences in the comment section below. Show everyone else how good your English is. And subscribe. Tell others about me as well. Learning by yourself during these times is fine, but English is a language, and it's always better to share a language with other people than learning by yourself. After all, when it comes to language, two heads are definitely better than one, because if you make a mistake, someone else might notice that mistake and be able to help you. And yeah, please turn on the notifications as well, because I am going to be doing more lessons on a regular basis, and by having that notification bell on, yeah, you'll know when live lessons are coming up. Also, check out my social medias, my Twitter and my Instagram, because I'm going to start posting the times that I will be putting live lessons up. And yeah, feel free to come along and join me during the live lessons. At the moment, I'm not doing them fully live because I'm still practicing, I'm still getting comfortable in this kind of situation. But in later lessons, it will be great if you could leave your comments as I'm teaching. Therefore, if I haven't explained something well, or you want to demonstrate during the lesson your examples of the sentences, that would be great. Anyway, until next time, thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye.